Welcome to Quest for Q, where we explore the vast and fascinating world of knowledge. In today's episode, we'll delve into the history of Bengal, delving into the impact of colonialism in this vibrant region. Join us as we uncover the intricacies of this transformative era. The European colonization in Bengal began in the 16th century with the arrival of the Portuguese. The Portuguese were followed by the Dutch, the French, the Danish, and the British. The Europeans were attracted to Bengal's rich resources, including its fertile land, its abundant waterways, and its skilled artisans. They established trading posts and settlements along the coasts of Bengal. The first European colonial settlement in Bengal was the Portuguese settlement in Chittagong. The settlement was established after the Bengal Sultanate granted permission to embassies from Portuguese India for the creation of a trading post. The Portuguese settlers in Chittagong included bureaucrats, merchants, soldiers, sailors, missionaries, slave traders, and pirates. They controlled the port of Chittagong and forced all merchant ships to acquire a Portuguese trade license. The Roman Catholic Church was established in Bengal by the Portuguese in Chittagong when the first Vicar Apostolic was appointed in the port city. The Portuguese eventually came under the protection of the Kingdom of Marau as the Bengal Sultanate lost control of the Chittagong region. In 1666, the Mughal conquest of Chittagong resulted in the expulsion of Portuguese and Arakanese forces in the port city. The Portuguese also migrated to other parts of Bengal, including Bandel and Dhaka. The Dutch were the next European power to establish a permanent settlement in Bengal. They arrived in the early 17th century and established a trading post at Chinsura located on the Hooghly River. They quickly became the dominant European power in Bengal. They established a network of trading posts and factories throughout the region, and they controlled a large share of the trade in opium, salt, muslin, and spices. At its peak, the administrators of the Dutch East India Company allowed Hooghly Chinsura in 1734 to trade directly with the Dutch Republic. But the fate of the Dutch people was not with them for long. Their status in Bengal was reduced to that of a minor power with the British victory in the Battle of Plassey in 1757. In 1759, the Dutch tried in vain to curb British power in Bengal in the Battle of Chinsur. Eventually, due to the loss in sphere of influence, the Dutch ceded all their establishment on the Indian peninsula to the British with the Anglo-Dutch Treaty of 1824. The Dutch were followed by the French, who established a settlement in Nagore, located just north of Chinsura, after permission from Mughal Viceroy Shaista Khan in 1692. The French built a fort and a factory in Nagore, and they became the main rivals of Dutch in Bengal. The French also established a close relationship with the Nawab of Bengal, the Mughal governor of the region. The Nawab granted the French permission to build forts and factories in Bengal, and he also allowed them to maintain their own army and navy. In 1756, the French encouraged the Nawab Siraj-ud-Dowla to attack and take the British Fort William in Calcutta. This led to the Battle of Plassey in 1757, where the British decisively defeated the Nawab and his French allies, resulting the extension of British power over the entire province of Bengal and curbed much of the French power. After the Napoleonic Wars, all five settlements of French in India, including Chandannagore, were returned to France. It lost much of its former glory and became an insignificant French outpost comparing to the growing and bustling city of Calcutta controlled by the British. After independence of India, governance of Chandannagore were ceded to India on 2nd May 1950 and merged with the West Bengal state, thus ending the French presence in Bengal. The Danish had a brief stint in Bengal. The first settlement of Danish East India Company in Bengal was established in Pipli in 1625. The Danish company later gained permissions from Nawab Alivardi Khan to establish a trading post in modern-day Sirampur in 1755. The first representative of Danish crown was appointed in 1770. The town was named Frederik Nagore. In the golden ages of Danish India, Danish-Norwegian trade grew substantially as other European powers such as French and British were involved in wars with each other. This meant that during these wars, trade from the warring nations could be carried by neutral nations like Denmark, Norway to avoid seizures by the warring parties. During the Napoleonic Wars, Denmark-Norway practiced a policy of armed neutrality whilst carrying French and Dutch goods from the Dutch East Indies to Copenhagen. As a result of that, and after gaining power in Bengal following the Battle of Plassey, the British gradually took possession of Danish settlements in Bengal, making them part of British India, thus ending Danish colony history in Bengal. The most significant European power in Bengal were the British. In 18th century, the British East India Company established a settlement in Kolkata, located on the Hooghly River. They quickly became the dominant European power in Bengal and they eventually conquered the entire region, starting with the Battle of Plassey in 1757. The British ruled Bengal for over 200 years. During this time, they introduced many changes to the region, including the construction of roads, railways, and canals. They also established a system of education and administration. They also introduced new crops to Bengal, such as indigo and tea. These crops were grown for export and they helped to make Bengal one of the wealthiest regions in India. However, this came in a steep cost. The British exploited the region's resources and its people. They also introduced a system of land tenure that made it difficult for majority of Bengalis to own land. Their atrocities led to the famine of 1776 and 1943. British colonization of Bengal came to an end in 1947 when India gained independence from Britain. However, the legacy of colonialism can still be seen in Bengal today. There were few other people who tried to establish settlements in Bengal, namely Armenians, Austrians, and Jewish people. The Armenians tried to settle in some parts of Murshidabad. The Austrian Ost Indian Company made a great effort to make settlement in Bakipur, north of modern-day Barakpur. The Jews came to Kolkata at the same time too. The main purpose of these communities were religious, as they built some churches and synagogues near their respective establishments. However, like others, the rise of British people in Bengal made their impact in the region a negligible affair. So that was the brief history of colonialism in Bengal. Let us know in comments if you want to know the details about all these nations. We can make separate videos about them too. Also, like, share and subscribe our channel for more contents like this. Thank you.